Most people grow up believing intelligence is fixed, that you either have it or you don't. And if your mind feels heavy or restless, something must be wrong with you. But psychology shows something quieter and more important. Some minds don't feel heavy because they're weak. They feel heavy because they're doing more work. And what you call overthinking might actually be untrained intelligence. If you replay conversations, think deeply, or feel mentally tired by simple choices, this isn't about becoming smarter. It's about understanding the kind of mind you already have. Here's the part most people miss. Intelligence isn't a single number. It's a collection of habits research shows can be shaped over time, through attention, emotional regulation, and awareness of thought itself. What we label as genius is rarely raw talent, and more often a brain that learned how to use its depth without fighting it. Geniuses train attention before anything else. They treat focus like a muscle, not a mood. You know that moment when you finally lock into a thought and the world fades, when time slips and the noise drops? That's not luck. That's your brain doing its best work. Psychology calls this sustained attention, and it thrives when distractions are low, which is why many deep thinkers prefer quiet rooms, late nights, or solitude, not because they avoid life, but because fewer inputs let their mind fully engage. And research shows repeated deep focus strengthens the networks responsible for reasoning and creativity, meaning your preference for depth is already a form of training. If you replay conversations or analyze what you said afterward, you're not broken. You're engaging metacognition, which is simply thinking about thinking. Your brain is reviewing social data, correcting patterns, and preparing for future interactions. Most people avoid this because it feels uncomfortable, but research shows reflective minds learn faster and adapt better. The problem isn't that you reflect, it's that reflection turns into rumination.
Without an endpoint, and when you ask one simple question, what did I learn? Your brain gets permission to close the loop and move on. Another misunderstood habit is over-preparing, thinking longer, revisiting ideas days later, connecting dots others forgot. Psychology calls this deliberate practice, and this is where patience becomes intelligence. Unlike reflection, which looks backward, deliberate practice stretches across time. Geniuses return to ideas repeatedly, not because they're unsure, but because spaced repetition builds stronger memory retrieval and deeper understanding. If you've ever felt slow because you don't move on quickly enough, it's often because your mind is still building something more durable beneath the surface. Emotional regulation is where many intelligent minds feel misunderstood. Some brains go quiet in crowds, not because they're weak, but because they process more emotion, more stimulus, more nuance. Research shows when emotional arousal drops, the prefrontal cortex comes back online, which restores clarity and creativity. That's why needing alone time after social situations isn't avoidance, it's recovery. And when you pause before responding, you're not hesitating. You're allowing your brain to shift from reaction to choice, which is a sign of emotional maturity, not fragility. So if your mind feels intense, scattered, or exhausting at times, understand this. Intelligence is not fixed. It's shaped by how you direct attention, how you reflect, how patiently you practice, and how well you protect your emotional bandwidth. Psychology shows small, consistent habits reshape the brain over time, and the traits you were told were flaws are often signs of depth that simply haven't been named yet. If this changed how you see yourself, comment trained and tell me which habit felt most familiar. Replaying, thinking over time, or needing quiet. And subscribe for psychology that explains your mind instead of asking you to shrink it.